What? Welcome to Plausible Foolishness. I'm Matt. I've got opinions on stuff. Actually, sorry, I've got a perspective on things.
Oh.
I changed that.
Not opinions?
No, because opinions are the lowest form of knowledge.
Yeah. Too subjective.
Well, it's just that you don't have to be informed to have an opinion.
Fair enough.
And so I like to say I have a perspective on things because that means that kind of lends to more. I've actually thought about this for a little bit.
Yeah. I've dwelt on it.
Yes, I've dwelt a little bit.
All right.
Why is there a delay in what we're seeing? I don't know. Well, welcome to Plausible Foolishness. I'm Matt. I already mentioned that. But we got a guest here today. This is TJ.
What up?
He's my boy. Welcome to Plausible Foolishness.
Brother from another mother.
Yes. He's I'm going to call him an amateur philosopher.
I like that. I'll take that.
So, you've noticed the title is called Virtue Epistemology and so much more.
Just keep him guessing.
That came from him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, granted, if you've watched the show at all, you know I love philosophy. I like to get into the deep dive on the ideas for why the crap that's happening today is happening.
Ideas behind everything.
Yes, exactly, because I think that's important. But he's gone even deeper down the rabbit hole than I ever have.
Almost got lost a few times.
Yeah, all he does is read. So
pretty much.
And I would love to do that, but I got kids. So.
Sure. You got two.
Yes, two beautiful
Angels.
little girls,
Little
and
angels.
I love them. And the deep state better stay away from them. That's all I got to say.
Gotta get your patriotism up then.
Well,
Go hardcore with it.
and my patriotism is just fine. Anyway, so we're gonna just jump right into it. Virtue epistemology.
Yeah.
What is virtue epistemology?
Well, let's take one word at a time. Virtue epistemology. So virtue is that which is concerned with moral uprightness. You might even call it moral excellence. So everything that within morality and ethics and the study of good and bad, taking the good, what is the greatest good, good with a capital G.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean, living that out in character? Your quality attributes as an individual and as a person. What is the greatest moral good that you can do? So that's the virtue part of it. And then epistemology has nothing to do with being pissed, but epistemology is a subfield of philosophy that deals with the study of how we know anything. Philosophy is the study of wisdom or the love of wisdom, but within wisdom, how do we want to deal with other more specific questions about how do we even know anything? How is it that we can even think? How is it that we even know that we know? How do we do these things? What are the justifications for knowing anything? What is a justified true belief? So that's epistemology, the study of how we know anything. So virtue epistemology then asks, well, because it's already concerned about moral uprightness, and epistemology is concerned about knowing things. When you combine the two of them, virtue epistemology essentially asks, how can we become a knower of the highest moral good? How can we know things that bring out our moral excellence as we are knowing things and understanding and learning and building the deep organization of our knowledge and thoughts and reasoning? So it's not brute reason as you might think of it as. It's not just blunt, boring, stale knowledge and logic for a dead, empty sense. It's asking, how can I have the strongest moral character, and through knowing, through reason, through organizing my thoughts, how can I become the greatest moral good individual, essentially is what it is.
Okay.
So yeah, that's virtue epistemology in a nutshell.
So basically, how do we know what is moral?
That is one of the questions too, but it's...
And how do we know what is the most moral?
What is the most moral, and then how does our knowledge reflect that if we can answer that question?
Explain, what do you mean?
How can we live that out? How can we
okay.
reflect living out that moral uprightness? If
How do we apply?
Come to, yes,
how do we apply it to our lives?
Better word, yes. Apply. Application is the name of the game. It doesn't abandon the deep, finalized, concluding thoughts on any philosophy, but it says we're going to worry about the ideas of how do we know what we know and come to our logical conclusions, but we better also make sure that it applies then to how we live out our morality and virtue and ethical good as an individual.
Okay. So then what are the competing ideas surrounding how we know and how we apply?
Yeah, there's a couple different debates. There are more on the epistemological side.
Sure.
There's one of the debates, one of the famous debates. There's an illustration, a metaphor that the philosophers and epistemologists have used. It's called the metaphor or the illustration of the raft versus the pyramid.
Okay.
And so what that is, the big terms are foundationalism versus coherentism. So I know those are big terms, but the raft and the pyramid, or foundationalism and
empiricism.
I just totally blanked on it. Coherentism.
Oh, sorry.
Foundationalism and coherentism, the raft and the pyramid. So what that is that the epistemological conversation, the debate is, coherentism says, is knowledge finally justified conclusively if all of just think of a web of all of our ideas and knowledge and belief. If the web of all of our beliefs cohere together, then we can say that we conclusively have justified true beliefs. Coherentism is that web that coheres of all of our beliefs.
Okay.
On the other side is the illustration of the pyramid. Just think of a classic pyramid, the pyramids of Giza. It starts with foundation at the bottom, with the deepest, largest, most fundamental beliefs, and then you build on smaller beliefs as you keep going up the pyramid, up the levels.
Okay.
So essentially,
wouldn't you need the pyramid to be coherent for it to stay standing?
And that's been some of the other debaters and the philosophers have also asked that same question, and nobody's really come to a conclusive answer on that either, because everybody likes their two camps. It's usually what you find whenever a major debate comes up in philosophy. It always comes down to two final camps, and they never really seem to reconcile. As far as people just like their side of the debate, and that's in anything. That's in philosophy. That's in morality and ethics. That's in religion, anything, ideology, all of it.
Okay, so that, to me, that explains what you need to have a working idea, let's say. But that doesn't seem to answer how.
Sure.
Like how we know.
Right. And
so how do we know what is virtuous?
What is virtuous? Yeah. And so with virtue epistemology, what I've recently come to realize is that where the hard philosophers and the hard logical epistemologists who are just concerned with the fundamental logical answers, they're more like in that camp asking what you just did. How did that make us arrive at anything as far as knowledge and virtue? And so I don't believe it's a cop-out that the virtue epistemologists do, but I do believe that the virtue epistemologists have also made a point where they've said, we will continue these philosophical debates on the epistemological side, but we are also, our primary concern is, what are we doing that is morally and ethically right and good? And then as we have that foundation of a righteous character, then we'll go back to the more hardcore philosophical questions. So then naturally the more hardcore epistemologists will then keep going back with what you just did. And they say, well, that's not enough. That's not enough. The questions of how for knowledge, any knowledge, the questions of how knowing didn't get us to virtue, did it? But the virtue epistemologist will come back and say, well, the very fact that you couldn't even ask a question about how you know virtue is still an epistemological issue. So we didn't, the virtue epistemologist, the hard virtue, the virtuist.
How would you know to even ask that question?
Exactly. And so that's where the debate, the two sides of the debate are always talking past each other.
Well, I think that the reasonable answer is we couldn't. That we get our virtues from revelation.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, as a Christian.
As a Christian, yeah, and then the Christian worldview, the entire framework, the entire philosophical framework within a Christian worldview, yes, everybody has a final, ultimate authority. Mm-hmm. And so for the Christian, the Word and the revelation that we get from the Word, that is our final authority. And for at least for even the layman Christian who may not know it to that extent to know what virtue epistemology is, even they will still finally admit there is the Word of God that I go back to for my final foundation of an answer. I don't mean foundation in the way the foundationalists refer to it as, but even the most layman Christian on the street will know intuitively and even implicitly that that's where they have to keep going back to for their final authority. Whereas when you get the more advanced philosophers, they like to make things... A philosopher wouldn't be a philosopher if he didn't make things more complicated than they needed to be. Mm-hmm. So the more philosophers will be like you and me, or they'll be more... But wait, well, they're stopping every 2 seconds and saying, but wait a minute, what about this? What about that? What about this aspect of knowledge? What about this aspect of morality? Yes, the Bible, but the Bible and the Bible and... That one thing to also say on that tends to be the danger that we've seen historically with the biblical belief and theology and philosophical belief. When you see more philosophically inclined people, they'll tend to run with their philosophy over their theology. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so then there's a whole conflict of that too, and that's where the whole conflict, I think, between faith and reason has historically always stemmed from and boiled down to at the end of the day. And I think at least the easy answer as a person who professes belief in Christ, I think for me personally, I don't think you can get to the philosophical unless you address the theological first. Mm. So there's an order, at least. There is an authoritative, final, conclusive order that we have to begin from. So that's what I was going to start.
Okay. So is there any interesting tidbits that you've been gleaning from your studies in virtue epistemology?
I think just personally, even in more application and practical terms, it's been convicting that even as I read the scriptures, the first thing about the whole philosophy versus theology, it's convicted me to not let my philosophy override my theology and my biblical study first, and then second, even just in more daily actions and practical actions, I have tried to be more conscious then, to make sure that when I'm living and just doing the living, that I'm actually trying to be concerned and intentional about being concerned about where is my moral character. And I'll admit I'm not always the best at that, but that's the whole point of the word in the scripture right there. Who is indeed? We all fall short. Some of us fall harder than others, but I think it has been something that that even just trying to live it out, then I think it has been another extra helpful thing in addition to the primary source of the word and the biblical theology of the Bible, that it's convicted me more to be like, okay, am I being conscious of virtue? Am I being conscious of putting out moral righteousness and uprightness? I draw that from the word, but the virtue epistemology has helped and aided as far as... This
is the way... So, like, there's one's philosophy...
Yeah.
Which really, I think, is better expressed as one's worldview.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, as a Christian, one's worldview should be influenced and you should be drawn from the Bible.
Yeah.
Right?
Amen.
But there are tools of philosophy.
Yes.
Their reason is not logic, the fundamental laws of logic and all that stuff. Those aren't your philosophy.
Sure, yeah.
Those are just I look at them like the rules of math.
Yes,
or,
yes.
They
they are structured parameters.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Born out of who God is. Like,
yes.
God is logical.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, we can rely on the rules of logic
yes.
to then parse out what the Bible says.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because without them, the Bible would be meaningless.
And we couldn't make sense of anything
Exactly.
if we didn't have logic or reason in the first place.
Exactly.
So logic isn't the ultimate final authority, but it's because God is omniscient. God is all knowledge. Therefore, our knowledge comes from Him. And so in that, God is logical, and so therefore we have the ability to use logic as well. And so we can...
Because we're made in His image.
We are made in His image, and so we have the ability then to even think anything.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially is what it is. So one of the guys I like to read is a guy named James Anderson, and James Anderson has a whole paper, but the whole paper is called If God, Then Knowledge.
Interesting.
Basically, that's the premise of it, is that the only reason we know anything is because God knows all, and God knew everything first.
Mm-hmm.
That's the gist of it.
Well, I mean, it's even more than that He knew all. Before Him, there was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that there is to know came out of His mind.
Exactly.
Yes. Fascinating.
Which is interesting, too, because the Bible also talks about how the creation was given to us because of God's wisdom and knowledge. By wisdom and knowledge, He founded the heavens and the earth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We are literally, created because of His wisdom and knowledge.
Interesting.
His image, of course, too, but there's many other theological truths in there with that as well.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating.
Yeah. So yeah, but very, very intriguing, very inspiring. It's really,
cool.
It's really got my intellectual curiosity going.
Thank you for sharing.
Yes, indeed.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So let's
switch
it up to our usual turn into the political realm.
Let's do it.
So first, let's talk. There's an interesting article that I saw. It says the headline is Hollywood had a dismal year in China, proving the Chinese market may not be a cash cow. This, to me, is fantastic news.
Absolutely.
100%. I want Hollywood to do bad in China. And not because I don't want Chinese money flooding into America,
Sure.
But that's fine. That's great, More money,
Hopefully not more problems. But...
No, yeah. More money, better living conditions for Americans, What I don't like is that China's money becomes China's influence on the entertainment that we Americans produce.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
For instance, if you might have seen some controversy surrounding the Top Gun remake, just let alone that they're making a Top Gun remake. But
did we need a Top Gun?
Yeah,
remake?
did we need a reboot?
Well,
of
technically
that
it is a direct sequel, but even then.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, technically, but even then, it's because it's Maverick is older. He is older.
So Tom Cruise is
trailer.
in the.
He's in it.
Okay.
Yeah, he is in it. Have you seen the trailer?
So it's not a reboot. It's not a remake. It's a direct sequel.
It is a direct sequel, and it is Tom Cruise again. It almost died out because Tony Scott, the director, passed away, or sadly he took his own life. But
I don't know why, but I forgot that you are the.
That's right. Before philosophy, it was film back in the day.
Yes, and apparently it still is.
It's on the back burner. It hasn't gone completely away, but there's still the little movie critic in me left.
So yes, excellent. So okay. So there was controversy surrounding his jacket. I believe there was a free Tibet badge in the 80s original.
If it was, I never noticed it. I watched
it. But it was there.
I watched it recently, but I didn't... It never really zooms on his jacket enough to be like, there's the Tibet badge right there.
It's a little nothing. Sure. It's not, focused on. But it was there. And now, same jacket.
But the Tibet
No. Did Maverick in his old age just suddenly not care about the oppression that the Chinese government likes to dole out on those it seeks to control?
Has a history of doling out?
Yeah. Huh. I guess so. I guess he's a sellout now.
Yeah.
Or Hollywood is a sellout to China's big money. But, according to this article, maybe that money isn't really there. So, what they're basing this on is last year, 2018, there were five out of the top 10 highest grossing films of 2018 were American films in China. These are the top 10 highest grossing films in China, where 5 of those were American titles. This year, there was only 2.
Oh boy.
It was Avengers Endgame, because, I mean, Avengers Endgame, it was incredible. And
probably the best movie of 2019.
That's interesting.
That's debatable, but
and then there was it was Hobbs and Shaw. The Fast and the Furious.
I actually opted out. I didn't see that one.
Really?
The Fast and Furious franchise has gotten so overblown at that point. It was not detestable enough for me, because the nerd in me does like a good brainless action movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it really started to peak out for me after Fast 7.
Okay.
I think, or Furious 7, whichever the title was. The last one that Paul Walker was in. The Fast and Furious movies.
I thought he was only in like the first couple.
No, he had a good run for a while, but then unfortunately, he got in this car accident and passed away.
I have no idea which one was his.
It was either 6 or, I think it was 7.
Okay.
The whole franchise peaked for me at 7, and even then 7 it was getting a little overblown at that point.
It peaked for me at 1.
Well, then it lost me at 2, and it kind of started to lose me at 3. And then
3 was Tokyo Drift. It lost everybody at 3.
And then they had a brief moment of redemption on 4, but even then it was like, do we need 4? And then they announced a whole new trilogy.
Well, see, 4 was the start of the heist movie.
That's true, yes. It was no longer Fast and Furious car racing, it was Fast and Furious.
The first 2 were about street racing, and then street racing is not really that big of a phenomenon anymore.
Definitely not. So they had to adapt.
They adapted into a heist movie, and then which got more and more ridiculous.
Fast and Furious Green Beret Black Ops. Black Ops 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5.
Anyway, so I watched the street racing movie, and I was like, why am I in this movie? But it was because I was watching it with a bunch of friends, and they wanted to see it, and whatever, it was boring. But but this is good news, right? China
Sure.
is not so
not the cash cow.
Not the cash cow. It's not so. Maybe it's not so influential. Maybe Maverick can put that badge back on his jacket now.
Maybe Tom Cruise can put that back on.
Let's see. Okay, so Artisan Gateway data already show the market share of Chinese films rising from 62% in 2018 to 65% in 2019. So basically, it looks like the Chinese people are moving towards homegrown films.
Yes.
They want their own stuff instead of, the American stuff.
Yeah.
See, and so this is two-pronged. So not only does it mean that their influence might not be so great, but it's not a safety net for crappy movies anymore.
Yeah.
Which there are so many.
Hollywood trash.
Well, it's depressing to see a movie come out in the States, all right, that is just terrible, and the American public reject it for all its SJW nonsense,
which is most of the stuff in the mainstream.
Yes, like the all-female Ghostbusters, or this more recent Charlie's Angels.
Yes,
reboot.
both tanked. Tanked
here
in America. Yes.
But I don't know. I don't know the numbers, but
Did they do well in China?
I don't know.
Charlie's Angels?
Well, Charlie's Angels probably not, as evidenced by the current data, but
Touche.
was Ghostbusters wasn't this year. It was last year, right?
That was 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago.
It was a while ago.
So it may have made, significantly more money.
But they sure
overseas.
saw the errors of their ways, because the new trailer for the original Ghostbusters crew is out, and it actually looks promising.
Well, it's the children of Egon.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So rest in peace, Egon.
Yeah.
But it's Jason Reitman, I believe now, who's like the son of.
Okay, that's the guy from
Egon.
That's the guy from American Pie.
No, that's Jason Biggs.
Okay, yeah.
Jason Reitman was the director of Juno years back. And then
so he's directing. You're saying he's directing.
Yes. The son of the actor who played Egon is actually, like, Reitman is their last name.
Yeah.
And so his son is actually a real-life director in Hollywood
It was like Ivan Reitman. Right?
Yes, that was Ivan. Jason Reitman has become a new director in the last, 10, 15 years.
Okay, so his son... And Ivan directed the original Ghostbusters.
Yes. So
it's
now
a family,
Jason Reitman,
that's
a
cool.
family
Family
affair.
legacy. That's cool.
And that's why it looks very promising.
I haven't actually watched the trailer yet.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a teaser, so it's
it's
promising for a teaser, but even then, it's like, all right, give us the theatrical trailer.
Yeah, for sure. But it seems much more serious.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is interesting because I love Bill Murray.
Of course, who doesn't?
Bill Murray's delivery
Isn't Groundhog Day your favorite movie?
It's one of my favorite
One
movies.
of, okay. That's right.
But, I just love the way, just his cameo in Zombieland.
Oh, perfect. Did you see the second one?
I haven't. No.
I haven't either. I heard it's pretty good, though.
Yeah. I would expect nothing less. It was a pretty darn good movie.
It's the same team that did it, so the first one. So looking forward to that
But,
one.
his delivery is just so perfect. It's just perfect. He is a genius.
Comic genius.
A comic genius.
Definitely so.
I can't express that enough.
Sure.
But anyway, let's see. Back to this.
But China.
Yeah.
China's market for film slowly not looking so promising.
Ooh, Ninja. The Wandering Earth. Well, yeah. So apparently, China's just kicking butt and producing their own stuff, and. See, movie studios have gone to great lengths to appeal to Chinese audiences by presenting the country as a technologically advanced superpower.
Hong Kong? Maybe Shanghai.
On that, some movies have been subjected to... Interesting. Okay, well, yeah, so they've had a lot of sway over Hollywood.
Yes.
And, okay, so movie studios in this is all the influence, that China's had. So movie studios in America have gone to great lengths to appeal to Chinese audiences by presenting the country as a technologically advanced superpower. But nobody cares.
Right.
It's not working the way it was. That's. I think this is fantastic news.
Will Hollywood learn?
Well, yeah. See, Hollywood is a slow learning beast, or it may just be that it doesn't even care. They're still gonna do what they do, and they are gonna see things the way that they see things. So,
sure.
But my question, you had a question about why are the Chinese audiences not interested in American films anymore?
I said, could it possibly have to do with what's going on in Hong Kong right now?
And I wonder about that. You mentioned that it was 7 months.
7 months now of protests.
So, I think this is one of the biggest. It's one of the most important stories of the year.
Absolutely.
And ongoing. It's just huge. I mean, it speaks to almost half the crap that is going on in our country.
Yeah.
All the gun debate, Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you want to take our guns because guns are... Hong Kong. Well, the
We
Second
want-
Amendment's about hunting. Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the Second Amendment is
You
about.
want to know what a socialist country looks like?
Yeah, I mean, it's important, and we're getting almost nothing from our news media.
Of course, because they're not going to let that. They don't want that. It'll destroy their narrative.
Yes, exactly. So, I wonder if it's... I mean, it could be maybe mainland China is kind of fed up with... is not interested in Western influences because of how the Hong Kong protesters... I mean, if mainland China is pro the Communist Party,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe they don't want to be seen being influenced by Western influence, and so they're not going. Maybe China's own government is making it
More national.
well.
Well,
There's
not even nationalist.
well, I mean, the Eastern countries have always been somewhat resistant to Western influence.
Well, of course.
You know.
Japan's no exception. China's
Yeah,
definitely.
but then like once Japan opened their doors,
True.
it was like Western mania.
That's
you
true.
know.
The economic boom.
They're actually more today. They're more interested in. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't say once they opened their doors, because then we did jump into World War II was kind of a problem.
Yeah, there was that
with the
whole-
Japanese, but
There was that little.
there was that whole
There was that
snafu.
hiccup.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but since then even they're definitely. I mean, just look at their anime. You know, the
highly
main
influential.
ideal of the beautiful woman is not an Asian looking woman.
That's true.
She looks European.
That's true. That's
You
true.
know, it's fascinating.
Mhm.
Anyway, so but in China, Western influence is still a big deal,
Sure.
and China has that whole social score thing. Have you heard about that?
Mm-mm. What's that?
Oh man, so they've got this program. I don't know if it's been completely unveiled, but it's basically a social credit score.
Okay.
So you and I will have this score that basically lays out for publicly whether or not we're good people, as approved by the state.
Oh, so it's
And so perhaps
the state conferring personhood
well, yeah,
or valuing
at the
personhood.
at the yeah.
Oof.
At the ends of that spectrum, yes.
Wow.
And so,
You don't need God to give you the.
let's say you're
value.
critical. I mean, you've seen the videos. Have you seen the videos of, like, there's this one of a guy who's brought in and he's handcuffed, speaking to police over why he said something bad about the government,
Mm-hmm.
and it's freaking scary. And then you add the social credit score where, let's say I'm speaking out against the government
Mhm.
and I'm labeled a dissident. My score is going to be low,
Right.
obviously.
Sure.
But let's say you come and interact with me. Well, they're going to know because they're tracking everything.
Right.
And
boy.
your score is going to lower for having interacted with me.
Wow.
So they don't even have to jail people anymore.
Right.
They'll just make them non-persons, outcasts. Yeah, it's gross.
That's insane.
Yeah. So, I mean, that could play into it, like, there may be some push towards, the outing of Western influence, and so people are maybe afraid to go see Western movies. Although, the culmination of 10 years of awesome comic book movies, is like, well, I mean, we gotta go see that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I gotta see Thanos.
It was the
Get his
reaction. The
comeuppance.
reaction to Endgame, the portal sequence is all over the internet still. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, I wonder if that has something to do with it. Alright, you ready for the next story?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, let's see. What time? Oh, we're 35 minutes in. Good job. We're
snap.
doing good.
All right, look at that.
Killing it.
Killing the game.
So, I don't know if you knew this, but Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
Really?
Yes.
I never heard.
Yeah, no.
Where could I have heard that before?
So Romina, that's like Albania in the 80s. What, the social credit score?
Sounds like it, yeah, the credit score thing.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Eastern Europe was still under communist rule and fascist rule.
Yeah,
remnants of fascist rule.
Well, I mean, communism and fascism
they all kind of were two.
Or just a different flavor of tyranny.
Of course, just one's on the right, one's on the left.
Well, the European right.
The Mussolini.
Yeah.
The Italian,
not the American right.
Right, and then who's the guy from Spain?
Ferdinand?
Franco.
Okay.
Franco. Francisco Franco.
Okay, yeah.
Dictator in Spain. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, that makes sense. A lot of people could go to jail for silly things. I mean, they had to keep it on lock or else everything falls apart.
Totalitarianism, there you go.
Yep.
Perfect example of it. Stay away from it, kids.
Yes. For the love of God.
Seriously,
please, Lord.
This generation.
We need to, well, the millennial generation. The Generation Z is reportedly the most conservative generation since...
Millennials or like Gen Z?
Gen Z.
Okay, yes. Zoomers, apparently, have been coining the new anti-woke movement. And it's slow, but it's becoming more visible in the last few months. So, get excited, kids.
Yeah, Romina's family's from Albania. We did an interview with her. And you can find that on our YouTube channel. It's actually a really excellent interview.
Wow.
So, and she has her own podcast.
Very good.
It's RM Podcast FL. So check that out. She talks about business and stuff. So shout out to our homie.
Shout out.
Anyway, so Epstein didn't kill himself.
Yeah, Epstein.
That's a meme that I think should never die. We need to keep strong and keep posting it and coming up with clever, funny ways to get people to be reminded, because we cannot forget this. Because we still, no matter what, there's still an opportunity to bring down these evil SOBs.
Yeah.
And so we have an interesting article here, a really good. Today's just chock full of good news.
Nothing but good news.
Hey, Deep State.
Shout out to Deep State.
Yeah, the Deep State's been watching us. So
nice. We might need that.
So the feds finally start investigating Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. Freaking finally!
Yeah.
How long has it been?
Multiple times.
Great job talking about it. Oh, Jimmy does a great job talking about it. Oh, sweet. I want to check that book out. Donald Trump Jr.'s book, Triggered.
Oh, okay.
She's reading it. Makes a great comparison between American life and Czech life during communism times too. Wow. So, awesome.
So this woman.
So Ghislaine. So
what's her name?
This is the first sentence of this article. Ghislaine Maxwell.
That's right.
The first sentence of this article is, "It's about time." Yeah, right? If only Epstein got as much publicity as impeachment. For real.
But no,
the impeachment's a hoax sham.
Exactly.
That is nonsense. This is important evil going on.
We want to talk about the real injustice.
Yes. When I'm not watching, I'm still watching. Always keep an eye out for Deep State.
Shout out to Deep State. Oh boy.
So, August 10th, Jeffrey Epstein died. August 10th.
That's right.
What's today's date? December 27th?
After Christmas?
December 27th. So, it's been over 4 months. And they're just now... Well, maybe we should look into this Ghislaine Maxwell. Huh.
Oh my goodness.
Huh. Maybe we should look into this.
4 months
So,
later?
if you don't know who she is, which you probably do because you're watching our show, and, you know, the Rube Empire, that's what we call our fans, the Rube Empire.
Okay.
Because we're foolishness, plausible foolishness, so our followers are Rubes if they're watching plausible foolishness.
Perfect. All right.
But that's actually a good thing, because the world thinks you're Rubes, but we know you're not. Exactly. Anyway, Ghislaine Maxwell was Epstein's accomplice. She was the pretty face that lured in these girls into sex slavery.
The true hunter.
She was he was the business manager, and she was the madam. She was the no, I would say the madam would be the manager. Well, she was the it was on the tip of my tongue, just the perfect word. But she procured the girls.
Yes, okay, yeah.
But that's not the word I was looking for. Dang it, I hate it when it escapes me.
It'll come back to you, don't worry.
Anyway, so shortly after his death, reports emerged that Epstein had had help procuring underage girls from socialite Ghislaine Maxwell. But since then, nothing. Just last month, a story headlined, "She's our Waldo, and we're gonna find her. The hunt for Jeffrey Epstein's alleged enabler, Ghislaine Maxwell, ran in Vanity Fair." Wow. Oh, wow. Vanity Fair actually doing something that's worth talking about.
First time ever.
Finally, authorities are reportedly investigating Maxwell. She's a British socialite. So she probably, because, what's the guy's name?
Epstein.
No, Prince Andrew is apparently implicated in all this too.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
A scout, is that a better word?
Scout, yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, scout's pretty good. Yeah, okay. Another development, the sources said the FBI has no current plans to interview Britain's Prince Andrew, a longtime friend of Epstein. The prince has been accused of having sex with at least one of Epstein's alleged underage sex slaves, Virginia Roberts Giuffre, or Guffrey, or however you pronounce that. He denies the allegations, but Virginia last month detailed her allegations in an appearance on Dateline. So, I mean, we're getting little bits, little tastes of things, but nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Like Dateline does a thing here, Vanity Fair does a thing there. Meanwhile, as Romina pointed out, wall to wall impeachment, 24/7 impeachment.
That's all you hear.
Welcome to you're watching CNN, where it's all impeachment all the time.
Who's still watching CNN?
Nobody.
Exactly.
People at airports.
MSNBC?
Even less.
Even less. Better. Better.
Yes. Did I see Prince Andrew's interview? No, I didn't. Was it? I'm sure it was just obviously BS.
Probably.
And he did not end up looking good in it. I mean,
why would he?
How could he? And I don't like trying people in the court of public opinion. Sure. I don't like that.
Sure.
There's a reason why we have a court system, and especially in America, where you're innocent until proven guilty. That's important.
Sure.
We cannot let that die. But at the same time, these people are putting themselves out there, doing interviews, and it's hilarious, huh? I have to check it out. Either way, it's just, these people are gross. And they're terrible. They need to be brought. More needs to be happening. It shouldn't have taken 4 months to start investigating Ghislaine Maxwell. It shouldn't have taken 4 months. When he was arrested, she should have been under investigation.
Should have.
You do not need to be a body language expert to analyze it. Okay. So, was he just sweating constantly?
Probably. Stuttering every 2 seconds.
Just
you think he's guilty?
Where he can pouring down his face.
Seriously, that guy. I smell guilt. All right, man.
And the incident. So here's why Prince Andrew gets called in. So, Virginia Roberts Guffrey. I'm just going to say Guffrey.
Go for it.
Okay, Virginia Roberts Guffrey.
Apologies to Virginia if it's wrong.
Yes. She claims that the incident where she had sex with Prince Andrew in 2001 happened in the London townhouse of Ghislaine Maxwell.
Coincidence?
A former Epstein girlfriend who became his top aide after the prince gave Guffrey her vodka at a nightclub.
Oh boy.
So, of course, Prince Andrew denies the allegations, but apparently there's a photo allegedly taken by Epstein with his arm around the waist of Guffrey, who was 17 at the time. She's now 35, so she's had to live 18 years with this. You know.
We are seeing the
culmination it's just,
of all the last 60 years.
So, like, yeah, I mean, this all needs, I mean, okay. And let's say they find her and they bring her in and they jail her and she's going to have her time in court. Are we going to witness another, camera breakdown and guard sleep fest? You know, a nice little guard sleepover. And then she just kills herself, you know?
Lord.
So he just keeps saying he doesn't remember. He doesn't deny it.
Interesting.
I don't remember. Well, it's because he knows that there's the picture. Okay. He's like, that picture. I was like, I don't remember. No, I just can't remember sleeping with her. I slept with so many underage girls, so it was,
Oh, what a sick, twisted world we have.
Yes, absolutely.
Lord have mercy
Disgusting.
on all of us.
Yes.
Lord, bring the cross soon. For the second time.
So, either way, the FBI is looking into her. This is ridiculous. She should have been brought in a long time ago. And there's another interesting story. Apparently, the missing prison video from Jeffrey Epstein's first attempt to kill himself has been found.
Wow. Oh boy.
It's from outside his jail cell, recorded the day he allegedly attempted to commit suicide in July. And that video had gone missing. Now, CNBC is reporting that the video actually had been properly preserved by jail staff.
But they lost it. They had said. Convenient.
So, now remember, he was in a cell at the time with Nicholas Tartaglione, who was an ex-cop who was facing the death penalty for charges relating to the murders of 4 people during a failed drug deal.
Wow.
Tartaglione has claimed he helped save Epstein's life during the convicted sex offender's alleged suicide attempt on July 23rd. And so his lawyers want the footage to use during the sentencing phase of his trial, hoping that the footage of him trying to save Epstein would spare him from the death penalty.
Right.
But, that's interesting. I mean, the speculation was that Tartaglione was the one who had tried to kill him.
Right.
You know.
Sure.
Because there was stories that he had a cell phone, mysterious cell phone in his possession in jail.
Really?
And
oh boy.
Stuff like that. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see that footage if we ever do see that footage.
Doubt.
And we can also question whether it was actually properly stored.
Sure.
It's like, if it was properly stored, then why haven't we seen it until now?
Exactly.
Or did we just wait for enough time for you to doctor the footage so that it looks like he's helping him or whatever? I don't know. But that's it for Epstein. Let's see, what time is it? 50 minutes. We got time to talk episode 9.
Episode 9.
Okay.
Yes, I've seen it. You have not.
I have not, but I'm okay. This is gonna be spoiler. Okay. This is gonna be a spoiler alert. Okay, so if you haven't seen episode 9, don't watch unless you don't care, which you probably don't, because you know it's going to be...
Do you mind if I reveal things to you?
Yeah, no, I'm fine, because I'm not, like... I'll tell you my state of mind going into the worldwide release of Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
Meh. I love Star Wars, so I'm gonna go see it.
Sure.
But I'm not expecting much because...
yeah, we've had a rocky road.
Because of Kathleen Kennedy as CEO of Lucasfilm
and
Ryan Johnson.
I was about to say, you blame Ryan Johnson.
For sure.
I do too.
For sure,
Absolutely.
100%.
Okay.
I mean, and he and her both doubled down on, like, no, this is exactly what we wanted. It's a great movie.
For Last Jedi?
Yeah, for Last Jedi. And I've talked about my opinions on Last Jedi. I don't mind grizzled Luke, but the reason for his grizzledness is very thin. Super thin. I hate the monolithic evil of the rich in the casino planet.
Yeah.
It's total nonsense, and it's such propaganda. It's
absolutely
pathetic.
Absolutely.
I hate the emasculation of Poe Dameron for no reason except for men must be made less.
Yep.
And then
really
that renders a whole third of the movie pointless.
Exactly.
And like all she had to do was tell him that, oh, I've got a plan. Then there's less story problems and more just like world building problems of like the hyperspace bomb.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, all we need to do to destroy an entire fleet is drive one ship into hyperspace in front of them?
Why were they doing that?
Why haven't we just made bombs that are just hyperspace engines?
Why the whole opening battle where they drop bombs in space?
Like, well, that's a problem.
Actually,
but they could be like
propelled.
Directed magnetic, you know, something like that, you know.
Sure.
Like we could conceive of a technology that makes that plausible.
Sure. The thing that got me the most was the emasculation of Poe.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely that one bothered me. I think they had Luke, at least before his physical death. He's the ghost guy, the ghost Luke now.
Mm-hmm.
But even that, I felt like it was a bit of a, if not a disservice to Luke's character, how he just kind of went out with a whimper. If not a direct insult, I did think it was just needless mishandling.
Yeah, I would have done the whole end scene differently. Yeah. Let me tell you how I would have done it.
Okay.
I've already said it, but this was many moons ago.
Many eons ago, yes.
So he would be there in person.
Yes, okay, yes.
He's not there. He's not a Force ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he uses, or Force projection.
Force projection, yeah. Okay. I got you.
But maybe he uses that to survive the onslaught of the things. Though I think it would have been even more BA if he was there physically and he... Because him being a Force projection, that totally negated everything.
Absolutely.
It was like, oh, okay, so it was just a little trick. He's not hardcore BA, you know?
Yeah, it really bummed me out.
Yeah, so... I we could I mean, that's a lot of firepower to repel, but, you know, he's Luke Skywalker. Let's go. You know, let's go.
Give him some moment of glory.
Well, and so here's what happens. So if he survives it masterfully with his raw Force power.
Yes.
And then Kylo Ren comes down to face him one-on-one. Mm-hmm. Same way. They fight. And Luke is just toying with him. Mm. He's just bam, bam, bam. You know, no matter what he does, he looks like a child swinging the lightsaber for the first time because Luke is awesome.
Luke is Luke, yes.
And so then, but while they're fighting, Luke is speaking words of, he's just feeding light into him. Mm-hmm. You know, like apologizing for his role in this. And then encouraging the light inside of Kylo Ren to come out. Yes. Which is only pissing off Kylo more. And making him more unstable. And so eventually you get to a point where he's like, you know, where he's like, no. You know, where he just completely rejects Luke. And then they ready for a final strike. And then you see Luke adopt Obi-Wan's
Obi-Wan,
pose.
yeah,
Obi-Wan's pose.
He takes
And
him
then
out.
he takes him, and then close.
Yeah.
And he goes out just like his master.
That would have been awesome.
Right?
But we didn't
Right?
get that.
No, because nobody asked me.
If only they had hired you as a screenwriter, not even a screenwriter, but
Yeah, like a consultant. A consultant, you know?
A fan consultant?
Yeah, just a good story consultant, you know?
Yes.
I could have fixed
Narrative
that.
consultant?
Yeah, narrative consultant.
Yes,
Let's go.
Let's
go.
I approve of that.
So, we're here to talk about Rise of Skywalker.
So, yes. Rise of Skywalker, I'll stand by what I said earlier. See it. Don't hold your expectations too high. Obviously, the huge chunk of the movie is trying to clean up the mess that was Last Jedi. And its spare pieces that they were working with. Slim pickings that they had to work with narratively. It does reek of... Oh, snap. It does reek of a bunch of desperation.
Keep talking.
So, I think... I'll keep it up. So, semi-spoilers. No, fully spoilers. What am I talking about? Spoiler is... They made things way too easy whenever the characters would get into problems. And whenever we get to... Oh, shut up. We got a raid.
What up, baby?
Ray in the building.
What are you doing on my show?
I'm standing in for you, brother, because you abandoned us. So yeah, anyway, like I was saying, there was a number of times where when the stakes should have been up, when the stakes should have been tense, and when the characters should have come up against some sort of insurmountable odds, when it should have been all hope seems lost, the stakes were always taken away then by things that were just too easy. The Force will get us out of anything, essentially, and it really doesn't even serve much of a purpose.
The Mary Sue was alive and well.
More or less.
Yes.
More or less.
You're talking
Yes.
about the Incredible Star Wars.
Yeah, the Incredible
I
Star.
don't know if I'd call it incredible.
Nobody would.
Yeah, exactly. That and the dynamic that they took Rey and Kylo's relationship, I was just no.
What did they?
No.
How did they take it? Was it Padme Anakin cringe bad?
No, but it was. I never okay. Some people could say because of their connection, there could have been a romantic thing building the whole time, but they never really truly unfold that in those terms. It was more of I don't know how you would even describe it. It was more of a desperation of trying to figure out each other's identity from being reflected by the other person, I guess is a good way to put it. But even that, does that necessitate romance necessarily? Does it?
No.
Not at all. And so
Could be friendship.
I will fully spoil it for you.
Yeah.
So Kylo
Spoilers.
full spoilers. Cover your ears now if you don't want it. But when they're trying to defeat Palpatine, because if you didn't figure it out by now, Palpatine was back and he was masterminding everything, which is also stupid. Palpatine is trying to get Rey to take on all the soul of all the Sith within her being. And in order to stop him, Palpatine's basically about to kill her until Kylo shows up, and surprise, Kylo is converted back to Ben Solo, and so he starts wreaking all of Palpatine's bodyguards, yada yada yada. They fight, and Rey defeats Palpatine and all this stuff, and then because of certain circumstances, Rey is about to lose her life, and so Ben Solo then gives Force life to her. And because he gave his Force life to her, he basically gives up his life. But in the dying moment of Ben Solo's last breath, they consummate their relationship with a kiss. And it makes no sense whatsoever. And then Ben Solo's gone. Okay, not dead, but gone. I'll just say that.
That kind of reminds me of Padme and Anakin, where she is hardcore friend-zoning him for the entire Attack of the Clones.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Friend-zoning him so hard.
Yeah,
He's
true.
coming at her hardcore with the love and affection, like, I want you.
In a really bad
way. Really bad.
Terribly written way.
Yeah, totally. And she is 100% friend zoning him. Like
fully.
Like it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're about to be wheeled out into the arena, and she's like, "Okay, I love you."
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, where did that come from?
One of my friends a long time ago was like, "Well, you saw her kind of turning towards him when he." No. And then like he, what did he use? He said when they're in the field and Anakin was like, we're on a date and Anakin pretended to get like run over by by the animal, and Pammy gets all worried and everything, and then they roll in the dirt or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Bad. And then the very next scene, she friend zones him.
Yes. No. The very next scene is when they're by the fireplace, and he's like, "I'm haunted by the kiss I never should have given you," and she's like backing away from him off the couch.
Yeah. It's embarrassing.
And then she's like, what did she say to him? She was like, he says to her like I don't care if we have to lie about it or something like that. And she's like, but we'd be living a lie. And I was like, oh my god, I can't. It's horrible. Shame on you, George. Your own characters. You couldn't have written something better and more compelling and even more realistic than that. Holy cow!
I haven't seen this movie and I don't want to see it now at all. Well, I didn't want to see it before.
Yeah, you're not missing anything, Ray. You're not missing much at all. So yes, it's a much. It's a much.
Does it fit in here?
You might.
You
Shout out to Ray joining us now. Ray, I'm so sorry.
You're good. You're good. Keep going, boys.
So okay, it's a much shorter, very lightning fast, condensed version of Padme's friendzoning that we get with Kylo Ren and Rey. That's all you need to know. Okay. And then he's gone. But okay, he's not dead, but he's gone. I'll just say that. So. Yeah, you'll see.
Interesting.
Can I
guess what we have here?
Can I join the party?
Is it gonna fit?
Goodness. Oh, sorry, wide load, man.
You're good.
Wide load. Can I fit?
Yeah, we're gonna do the
straight
lean
from the gym.
Is this Plausible Foolishness?
It is.
This is.
Yay!
This is squad up.
Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you, my friend.
Sorry I'm late.
No, you're good.
So sorry I'm late, man.
Thank you for having me.
Is Romina on the show? Romina's up there?
Yeah, Romina's been
Shout out to
talking
Romina.
about
Shout out to Romina.
Sorry I'm late.
All the love.
So sorry.
You got to get your swole on, bro.
Listen, man, I had to get one quick one in. I had to get my lift on.
One press.
Yeah.
One curl.
Yeah. Just get it all in, but it's all good. What did you guys cover today, man? Do you have some fun?
Well, we talked about
Virtue Epistemology.
Okay.
Yeah.
I go in on the. Yeah, we went. The no holds barred.
Bring it on.
He labeled me the amateur philosopher, a title I fully embrace.
Hey, he's the mad scientist, so it works out, man.
Yes.
It's all good.
We started at 100. We didn't go from 0 to 100. We went all the way to 100.
No warm up.
And we talked about China's
Movie
American
market.
Movies in China not doing as well as they had hoped.
That's weird.
There was only 2 of the top 10 highest grossing films in China were American films.
Wow.
Yeah.
Last year it was 5.
Interesting.
So China's not the cash cow that Hollywood seemed to be making out to be. Who could have thought?
That's weird. So pandering to China is not working.
Yeah, and I think that's
here or
news.
there.
Who'd have thought?
But then I also speculated that maybe it had something to do with their social credit score thing. That if Western influence is becoming a big problem, especially as we're seeing it in Hong Kong. You know, I mean, when they're waving American flags and singing the national anthem, that might be a problem to the Communist Party. They might not like that.
Just a little bit.
And so then maybe being seen going to an American film, maybe not so good on the whole credit score.
It might be a problem to LeBron James too now.
And a problem to Panda Bear over there. So Pooh Bear, what's his name? Is that they blocked Pooh Bear from China? You can't.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the insult that it was.
Yeah, it's President Xi. They say it looks like Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
Nice. What else am I missing, man?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Okay.
Is finally being investigated.
Investigated by the FBI.
Really?
Yes, finally.
Interesting.
It only took 4 months.
Wow.
And 4.5 months, really.
Nice. Did you guys cover Mark Galey saying that voting for Donald Trump is anti-Christian?
We have not talked about that.
Is that on the list for today?
No, but we can.
Oh, it's so much fun. You went into epistemology immediately, so I'm
so
coming late to the party.
We went
the philosophy guy. I'm just listen. I'm just a big meathead that lifts heavy stuff. So, but it's all good.
You're good.
Did you see over the weekend? So this was kind of the smoke and mirrors. Plausible Foolishness. I missed you guys, man. I missed you guys. I'm sorry. Last week I let Matt down and said I couldn't do the show. He got the replacement. He got a much more intelligent guy than me for this show today, which is good. But I'm sorry I'm late, man. I had to work and pump some iron, but it's all good, man. But Mark Galey, the editor-in-chief of Christianity Today, said that...
Oh, that guy! Okay, yeah, I know you're going with this. All right.
Said that voting for Donald Trump
Is basically anti-Christian.
is anti-Christian and against Christian values.
Yes, exactly. Hardcore leftists in the
and he
Christianity
deserves to
today.
be impeached. He deserves to be
He
impeached.
deserves to be impeached. Now, the funny thing is, this is the same guy who's written articles that Christians and Muslims worship the same God. This is the same guy that wrote an article that said Obama has the Bible correct.
Right.
This is the same person that said it is a more moral and ethical choice to vote for Hillary Clinton in 2016. And that's the funny thing about this whole situation to me is it's very interesting that we have now... The left is even trying to infiltrate Christianity today, which I kind of laugh now.
Not trying, they
They
successfully...
are.
Our Christian institutions are really being attacked because at the end of the day, the cornerstone foundation of Christianity should always be the Word of God. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Am I?
No, that's actually what we talked about when we were talking about Virtue Epistemology.
Okay, perfect. So we're all on the same page here.
Exactly.
So
you're dead on. You're
I'm
dead.
dead.
You're late.
Yes.
You're late, but you're dead on.
yes,
So,
sorry,
yes,
late, but always
dead
on time. Dead on,
exactly.
yeah. But it's interesting to me that the left and how do I say this nicely? The globalist machine is so desperate to break us away from Donald Trump, even though that's not what we're tying to, by the way. Christians are tied to principles that come from the Word of God.
Yeah.
Trump versus Clinton. Let's get real with ourselves. Trump had a better chance of upholding the virtues that we hold dear versus Clinton. Simple argument. If you don't believe me, would be abortion. Is that an abortion thing? Was Trump pro-abortion? Was he like killing babies?
He claimed to be pro-life. And
Weird. And not only claimed, but upholded.
Well,
that.
see, yeah. At
And
the
he
time,
funded Planned Parenthood.
he claimed,
Yeah.
and I think it was reasonable on both
Sure.
sides to believe or not believe.
Yeah.
Because he had a previous record of being, of talking in favor of pro-abortion.
Yeah.
Right.
And then,
Yeah.
lo and behold, he gets in the office and keeps just about every promise that he made.
Weird.
Just about.
But that is unchristian. Donald Trump is the embodiment of unchristianity nowadays, according to Christianity Today.
Well, he does say mean things on Twitter.
Mean things, that makes him unchristian. I got you.
Right,
Gotcha.
right.
Whitewash sepulchres. I guess Jesus is out too, right? Guess he's out. Turning over tables. Guess Jesus is out too. But anyways, my point is,
Are
that
you comparing Jesus to Donald Trump?
Exactly.
How dare you?
For the liberals, I'm not even going to make the argument that Trump is a Christian. He's not. But what I'm trying to say is our values as Christians, as followers of the Word of God, are in line with the Word of God. So when we vote for people, it's not because of a personality. We're not putting a man on a pedestal. We worship no man. We only worship God. But if that man's going to defend our values, we're probably going to vote for him more than the person that's okay with genociding babies. So at the end of the day, that's kind of where we're at. But that was one of the fun things I saw over the week when we were gone. So I just, I wanted to talk about it on the show a little bit, man. So
Yeah, for
before we
sure.
go- How long have you guys been going for so long?
It's an hour.
Dude, TJ, I love this, man. I'm excited. Are you going to be on the show more often?
I'll try.
You better be. Let's go, man.
All right.
Let's go. Where do you live? Do you live closer here?
I am nowhere near here.
Okay.
I am over by UCF
Okay,
almost.
neither am
so-
I. I'm right up on, so I get you, man.
Yeah.
But it's all good, though, man.
Absolutely.
What else did I miss, guys? What else did I miss?
Those were the big ones. We were just talking about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Did you see it yet? Did you see it?
No, not yet.
I spoiled it already for him, though.
It's okay.
He didn't care.
I wasn't going to go see it.
Okay.
I want to go see it, but
What's the sales on that? Is it doing well in the box office?
It's
Let's-
doing about what you would
Well, this guy's
expect at
the,
first.
Okay.
And then now, week 2, you'll see the numbers start to drop off a little bit.
The reality
And
check.
you're getting everybody, at least in the user comments section, you're getting complete polar opposites. You got people that really, really love it, and people that really, really hate it, and very nary in between.
Yeah, interesting.
people are upset about Rose Tico though.
Yeah.
She's
Why?
She was sidelined.
Well, nobody really liked her character in Last Jedi.
Well, let's ask let's find out who is getting upset.
Who?
Well,
I bet I know who.
I'm sure 100% it's the SJW.
Of course.
What?
Those
Because
guys-
a minority woman got shoehorned, and they got upset about that.
I heard.
How could they?
Yeah, interesting. Crazy.
Who'd have thought that they'd be upset about it, right?
Is that new? The one that Romina just put up? Let's talk about Tulsi.
Tulsi voting no for impeachment. I mean, there was Well, it's not just that. There's the 2 Democrats that defected over to the Republican
Weird.
side.
It's crazy.
Who is this?
So, like, post
Jersey.
the impeachment vote.
Is he the guy that went in on the left in one of those hearings up in Jersey?
No. So, one of the House members from New Jersey flipped to the Republican side just based on the impeachment.
Hey, if it's finally happening in Congress, but we've already seen the migration away from the left, not just in the people.
True that. A Russian agent.
Russian bots.
Russian agent Tulsi Gabbard.
Russian agent.
Voted
He
no
must
for
be.
impeachment.
He must be.
They're all Russian agents, man. 100%.
Has to be. Can't be real. People don't really think for themselves.
Well, Tulsi Gabbard is... Listen, she's not conservative by any means. She would not get my vote.
So she can go purple,
but she seems to be a reasonable.
She is a moderate Hawaiian, and Hawaiian politics are different. They don't.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
they're on the island. They have a different.
Are they like leftists then though?
Not really.
Detached. They are detached from the mainland. So.
True. It's interesting because here's the thing with her. I think that there's I see much conflict in her. At the end of the day, sir, did I just do a Star Wars?
Much conflict in her eyes.
Sorry, I did
gotta do the reverse. Gotta flip it, right? Yeah, the beginning is the end of the sentence.
Much conflict I see in your eyes.
There you go.
But she is an active duty member of our military.
Yeah.
Who upholds the Constitution. Mm-hmm. So when she sees the Democratic Party viewing a woman, first of all, a woman, that's a box checked. A minority, box checked. A Democrat, box checked. Yep. She's checked every single one of their boxes.
But she doesn't agree with every position that is, fed to her by leadership.
I'm surprised they haven't fed her to the wolves yet.
And the funny thing is it even leadership?
Well, they just ignored her.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah, she when I was in South Carolina a couple months ago, I saw tons of Tulsi signs in South Carolina. Yeah. They just ignored her in the DNC because the DNC is not run like the Republican Party. And I'm going to say the Republican Party's awesome. I'm not going to claim to be Republican, blah, blah, blah. I'm a conservative, which I had a nice, fun battle on TikTok with that. That was beautiful all day today. But long story short is she's a moderate. She's a moderate. She's a true moderate. I would say her and Trump. Yeah, her and Trump are
centrist?
I would say centrist. Okay. I just think that she would... she's cool with killing babies, which is disgusting. But she also, flip side, wants to defend the Constitution of the United States. She thinks it's pointless to try to impeach the president, which, the thing is the leadership of the Democratic Party is not the leadership of the Democratic Party. At this point, it's the crazy lefties, it's AOC, it's the squad, Pelosi, dictating the terms of what's going on.
Emperor Palpatine. Sorry.
Yes.
I forgot which one. Switch topics.
Maybe
it was the same one.
There's a lot of parallels. There's a lot of parallels, man. But
if you want to get down to it, there's 100% parallels.
Yeah.
The story of Emperor Palpatine's takeover is
the left.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do.
Interesting. Just I can see that 100%. So
next episode.
Next episode. Yes. I thought of Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg when you said the next episode. Soundbite.
But don't copyright us for that.
Yeah, exactly. Don't copyright us. We've gotten that a couple times, right?
Yeah, I got one last. We got one 2 weeks ago. When we played My Mind's Telling Me Now.
Yeah, for R. Kelly. Of all things to copyright, we got to copyright R. Kelly.
It wasn't a copyright strike, but it made the
they're trying to put you in check over R. Kelly.
Who's copywriting the pedophile? Who's doing that?
I don't know.
It wasn't Epstein.
Yeah, wasn't. Is he alive? Is he dead? Where is he? Anyways,
he didn't kill himself.
He didn't kill himself. We know that for a fact. But it's just interesting watching the left and kind of observing from the outside and watching true moderates try to be moderates, which that's kind of the deal. Mm-hmm. But, at the end of the day, let's get real with ourselves with Trump. Trump's kind of a moderate, too. He's just been forced into conservative ideas. So when I see these two, I would love to see that matchup as far as the ideas, the battle of ideas. Mm-hmm. I think it would actually help the country and understand what's going on. But I'm really, listen, if the left wants to destroy themselves, ignore a potentially strong candidate like Tulsi Gabbard, hey, kudos to you. I'm not going to be. It's just going to be easier in 2020. Keep trying to impeach the president. That's going to help the cause for him getting reelected and get an entire, get this thing rolling, rocking and rolling, man. So, but it's just fun.
100%.
That's what a lot of people are already saying.
They've gone off the deep end, and so they
so
can't.
far, yeah.
They can't go back.
They can't go back because the people, the mob that they've incited,
Yeah.
would not let them.
Yeah.
And so it's basically like we've seen with the impeachment. Like, why hasn't Pelosi sent the articles over? Why hasn't the trial started?
It's weird.
It's almost like they didn't really want to impeach him because they knew it was going to be bad for them, but they couldn't stop.
But you know what's
funny? They started a train that they couldn't stop.
But you know what the funniest part about this? Sorry. The funniest thing to me is that I've seen online is all the trolls are like, yeah, but he's been impeached. This moves in. It is literally appeased.
You know nothing about checks and balances. You know nothing about what the actual Constitution says. Then,
but it's appeasing low information people. It's appeasing them. It's appeasing,
and that's the problem with the entire.
He's been impeached, and that has implications for
forever.
For what? For
the future. Yeah.
For what? For what? Clinton was impeached.
Fine. Let it
go.
What
implications did that have for his presidency? None.
That helped him out. His favorability rate. But my point is, they're doing it to appease, hoping that fires up their base. The problem, though, is
it's causing their base to defect.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because they're like, this is nonsense.
Exactly. And the funny thing to me is, with all this happening and the approval rating of the Trump going up, what you got, bro? Hit me with it.
Oh, that's just the image of all the people who thought that impeachment was... and he was no longer our president.
He's no longer our president.
And so these are the only people who are still on board.
Which, it's Twitter. And Twitter's not real life.
That's true.
And then the magical thing is the left is finding that quickly that Twitter does not equal real life. When these Democrats go back to their, especially purple areas, they're finding a lot of... they find a lot of objection here. They're having a lot of people come after them for stupidity, and they have nothing to hang their hat on. They have nothing to hang their hat on for the last 2 years. So I'm just predicting. I'm predicting a red wave because there's going to be a lot of non-Trumpers who are going to be voting for Trump this time.
We're going to need a red scare again.
Red scare, man.
Go almost full McCarthy.
Almost.
You didn't get a little reckless, but you don't need that to scare the socialism out of everybody.
Exercise. When you said that, I thought of exercising the socialism. The power of Christ compels you. But
exorcism. Yeah,
the power of
exorcism. Get the.
But I mean, it's going to be interesting in 2020. I'm very excited to see what's going on, and I really hope that they hold on to this all the way up to the election. I hope they hold on to it because the Senate doesn't even want to vote on this. The Senate doesn't even want to deal with this.
Of course,
the moment it comes in, they're going to be like, "Yep, okay." Go to the proceedings 1 week later, and we're not voting for it.
Thank God that the founding fathers were geniuses and came up with the
system
that they did.
Now, amen. But I talked about this last week when I hosted the show by myself, which was interesting.
How'd that go?
I mean, I was able to get an hour out of myself.
You brought it up a couple times, so I know you're like half bitter, but like half like proud of yourself.
I'm not bitter.
It was my fault.
Salty?
It was my fault.
Okay.
I didn't show up to
I'm
the show.
not mad at anybody. I was
just a little tired. Okay, I'm a little jacked up on pre-workout now. I'm back here. I got here at 10 o'clock at night.
Like I said, Red Bull for the gym.
I'm all jacked up, man.
Yeah. Too much Red Bull and whey protein.
Romina's like, I was here last week too. I'm sorry, Romina.
She was.
Okay? I'm sorry.
Faithful and true.
I'm about to say, you seem like you got your most avid follower right there. Shout out to her.
Romina's been on the show. Romina is brilliant. We love having Romina. So, but yeah, sorry, it was my fault. Okay, that you had to go by yourself.
I know. I'm not mad at anybody for it. I just and I'm proud of myself for getting an hour.
Yes.
And I also am acutely aware of how much better it is when there's two people.
You can bounce things off.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Listen,
anyway.
every tag team's got to go solo every once in a while, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to be able to go. What if I get hurt? You got to go out there and compete, bro.
Yeah.
You got to go get the 1, 2, 3. All right, let's
go. Anyway, I don't like all the rhetoric about them just ending the trial almost immediately. Just because, don't we want them to go on trial? Not obviously it's the president's trial, but don't we want this information, these investigations to come to light to expose their corruption? The corruption that they're trying to hide by putting on this whole sham?
Mitch McConnell doesn't.
That's what I've been thinking.
Mitch McConnell wants nothing to do with it because here's the problem. Mitch McConnell will get sucked into this. He will. He'll get exposed. What they want,
What do they have
if I'm Smoking Joe Mitch, if I'm Cocaine Mitch,
Oh,
okay?
that guy. Oh,
Yeah.
that's the same guy.
If
Okay,
I'm
that's
Cocaine
right.
Mitch McConnell, I want this to be done as quickly as possible and pray to God that Barr comes out with his report very fast so that I don't have to deal with anything. The beauty and strength of Mitch McConnell is he is the cigarette smoking man in the X-Files. Okay? He wants he doesn't want to know that he doesn't want you to know that he exists.
Yeah.
Okay? He wants Mulder to stay as far away as possible so he's not exposed.
Fair enough.
If he can get this impeachment stuff done and out of the way, and then magically Barr shows up and reports on the FBI being completely corrupt, shocker, FBI, cigarette smoking man. But anyways, I digress. That's going to help his political case. Because here's the thing with Republicans, the standard operating, what is the modus operandi of Republicans is seen but not heard. Wait, seen not heard? What is it? Oh, they just don't want to be seen. Does that make sense? They want to just get reelected, keep things going, and not make a fuss. Now, realistically, we should drag this thing out forever and bring everybody out. And have everybody in it and have everything public. The problem, though, is globalists, right on the left, right and the left,
they're not gonna
do
do that.
not want exposure.
Of course not.
Because the more they
Because
expose...
it delegitimizes their authority.
Exactly. And that's the problem. Is here's the thing with America right now. You're about to witness the fact that the higher-ups in the FBI illegally... It's documented proof now. Illegally spied on a candidate. Illegally did it. So we're losing faith in that institution.
Of course.
The House of Representatives pushed through an impeachment trial
Based on nothing.
and didn't have bipartisan agreement on it,
Nope.
which literally weakens the idea of impeachment in the House of Representatives. If we go through this trial and we expose a lot of the senators as well, now the Congress, which already has a 4% approval rating, goes to complete trash. And people who are in power want to stay in power.
You're seeing the delegitimization of major institutions.
And here's the thing, too.
And their leaders.
Yeah, and that's fine.
And if Mitch
fine with
Because
that.
it's not that the institutions are sound if we followed the Constitution.
You're right.
Amen.
But
Amen.
if Mitch McConnell buries this fast,
Yeah.
remember those old echoes of term limits? Remember those fun things? Mm-hmm. Because that's what's going to happen. If the Senate has a very long process and has lots of interviews, which I want, they're going to expose the uselessness of them, the uselessness of the legislative branch, and they're going to say, well, we need some term limits. It's going to piss the people off enough. He wants enough people to be mad to vote Republican, but not expose himself in the uselessness of the Senate at the same time, if that makes sense.
It makes
Was that a
sense.
deep analysis?
Yeah.
Did I make up for being late?
Yes.
Yes! Bring it, bro.
You still have to whip yourself
Yeah, I
afterwards.
know. Gotcha. By the way, this is the most racist panel of all time, man.
Oh
What the heck? We
God.
got some brown cats on here. Watch
How
out, man.
could we? How dare we? How dare we be diverse?
You're still
How dare we
promoting-
have ideological diversity without our actual physical diversity? How
This is
dare we?
Well, and you got a white guy in here, so you're still advancing white supremacy.
Oh, my God.
No. You're epistemically entrapping us by forcing us to be in your presence. How dare you? How dare you?
It's true.
And we're in his house. Gosh.
You're racially exploiting us for our knowledge. How could you?
On the plantation is ridiculous, man. But it's all good. It's all good. I love the eyebrows, man. Man, I'm sorry for last week. I'm sorry I wasn't here.
That's all good, dude.
I feel bad, man. I mean, Romina, she forgives me. Listen, man.
Romina seems like she would forgive you regardless. She's a
I hope
good
so.
girl.
I hope so, man.
Loyal fan.
Me-
I don't know if
Albania.
Deep State forgives you, though, but Deep State's not in the business of forgiveness.
No, the deep state's going to get rid of me eventually. They're going to Epstein me eventually, but it's all right. Another fun fact: 3 of the accusers for good old what's his face? Who's the guy that played House of Cards? What's his name?
Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey.
Died,
3 of his
yes,
accusers.
I saw
Yeah,
that.
well, that's weird.
3 of them have died.
What?
Yeah, 3 of his accusers for his pedophile rape.
For Spaceys?
Yeah, died. That's so weird. It's like they're getting Hillary Clinton all of a sudden, man.
Holy
So
crap.
My point is this: the power structure globalists don't want to be exposed. That's what I only say that to bring up that point. As little exposure as possible is the best. That's why they killed Epstein. This is why they're not talking about Epstein anymore. They don't talk about the Vegas shooting. This is why they don't talk about Mitch McConnell. Wants
That's
us
why
to
we
go
need
fast.
to keep the meme alive. Keep the meme alive.
Epstein didn't kill himself. But, at the end of the day, like that's the reality of the situation that we're dealing with. So you got to understand, Kevin Spacey is a part of this game too, because the media complex is part of the Hollywood game. They're going to protect these pedophiles. 3 of the people that are coming out against them magically died. They Hillary Clinton themselves. Every single time they have something with Clintons, they die.
Epstein's like broker or whatever.
Yeah, he died.
He killed himself.
Yeah, we covered that on the show. It's like magically he suicided himself. So it's a very interesting thing, but the beautiful thing that exposes the bullcrap of the deep state is shows like this, is talking about these things and getting these ideas out here so that people understand what's going on, and that the narrative is not controlled by a couple people that really want to globalize the world. So the beautiful thing about the Constitution and the great American flag and American pie is guys like us that can talk about conversations like this, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, that's how I go. I said American Pie. That's right, America.
That's the second mention of American Pie today.
American Pie. Did you guys talk about that movie?
Well, we got
to
mix up Jason Biggs with a different Jason. Jason Reitman.
Yes. Sorry, I watched all the American Pies.
Oh, who didn't?
I like them a lot, man.
Well, what about
Stifler!
American Bandcamp, though? How about that one?
I didn't see that
Straight
one.
to DVD, not
that good. I didn't see that. Stifler's mom. But, anyways. But yeah, man. Dude, yeah, I'm glad that you got to be on the show today, bro.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm sorry your girlfriend's waiting out there, man. I didn't mean to kick her out of here, man.
Okay, sorry.
She seemed really nice, man.
She is. She's sweet.
When are you going to ask her to marry you?
Oh, Lord, man.
We're getting real on this show.
Well, to get real on one more deep thing, if I could do it, I'd go deep one more time.
Yes, go deep. Deep dive.
Matt's familiar with this. He and I have discussed a book called Pendulum. Has he ever brought it up before?
Never. He probably has. I'm just a horrible listener.
The concept's by two sociologists, and the concept of pendulum is that it tracks the ideological sway and shift in the Western world all the way back to the Greeks.
Okay.
And basically what it says is that over every 80-year period, if the pendulum of how the ideological shift will go hangs in the middle, when it's at 0, every 40 years then it works its way up to the crest of a we-minded manic society.
Yeah.
And then it goes back another 40 years to the middle and neutral. So 80 years it goes up. Then the next 40 years it goes up the opposite way to the height of a manic me-minded ideological shift in society.
Okay.
And then goes back to neutral.
Gotcha.
What we're at right now is we are about to crest again in the next, sometime in the 2020s.
Sure.
We're about to crest again at the height of a we ideological shift.
November 20th? November 2020?
Well, at some point.
November 20th?
At some point.
Gotcha.
Maybe.
So anyway, what happened, it's significant though, because there's usually some major conflict in the Western world that breaks out at the height of all these. The last time,
well, especially in the we movements, because the we's are the most dangerous
because the collective, the tyranny of the collective comes
and
out.
The mob,
the mob mentality comes out.
Gotcha.
But anyway,
not that the me doesn't have its issues.
No, it does.
Sure, of course. Well, last time we were at the height of a me-minded culture, the 1940s happened, and we got World War II. We had major people like Hitler and Stalin and Mussolini.
Gotcha.
But the last time America was at the height of a we-minded ideological shift, that was the height when the Civil War broke out. So hopefully that doesn't get to that point, but at the same time, one of the trademarks of that we're about to go up to the height of a we-minded mentality, talks of social injustice or rise up.
Nice.
That's a dead giveaway there.
Yes.
And again, I've talked to other people about this, and some people have been like, no. I know. I work with students. They're all centered on me. They're all selfish. I was like, because you don't understand. It's a collective ideological shit. It's not an in person to person thing.
Yeah. And kids are pure ego.
Exactly.
They always have been.
Exactly. But society as a whole moves as a collective at the height of a we. So the tyranny of the ideal comes out. We want to reach the ideal just society, but the mob moves and tries to force the outcome. It's the same thing every time.
The only reason I'm blanking is because I'm doing the math and you're 100% right. Like, the 0 point was the 80s when everything kicked ass and people thought for themselves and we had independence.
And you know what also happened when everything went back to neutral?
What's up?
The fall of the Berlin Wall.
Oh, weird. And Mr. T, so, you know.
And Mr. T, so Rocky 5.
But, that's so true, though, because we're coming to a place where we're rejecting this bullcrap of which no offense to me, I just hear globalism all day long.
Sure.
So I'm thinking Blexit, I'm thinking Brexit, I'm thinking Trump, I'm thinking a lot of things that are going to push this back to the center. That is amazing. What's a book called? Pendulum.
Pendulum. Yeah.
Pendulum.
Pendulum.
Pendulum. Tomato.
Potato.
I got you, man. I feel you know.
Yeah,
I got you.
orange.
All right, let's
orange
call the
apple.
whole thing off.
Socialism, evil. It's all the same. But I got you. The deep state's still watching us? Yes.
He's still watching. Zoomers.
Yes.
So they love that Zoomer comment. Yeah, Gen Zers, they're now referred to as Zoomers now.
Yes. Zoomers.
Mm-hmm. Because they're not
Zoomer.
boomers. They're not boomers anymore. The
Hey.
boomers have gone and come and gone.
We're Zoomers.
Well, the Zoomers, the rabid.
No, we're millennials, or
Moomers?
we're
Later millennials?
I'm
technically a later
So
millennial.
there's,
too. A late millennial?
it's
Whatever you call it.
exennials.
Exennials?
Exennials.
What's
So
exennials?
you have a lot of the influence of Generation
Gen
X
X,
still, but then
Makes sense.
you were also involved in the technological revolution that produced the millennial.
So we're
Sure.
Kurt Cobain
Nonsense.
with smartphones.
So we're dealing with
Basically.
the culmination and what's about to spike with the trash of the we-centered ideology of the millennial generation.
I see that, man.
And we've ruined it.
Yeah.
We're ruining it for all the rest of us.
It's all good, man.
So we're trying to push it back and try to keep it down before it kills us all.
Hey, 40 years from now, my kids will be having kids, so I'm okay with that, man. So
Touche.
as long as we can push it back, man, I'm totally down. And then my grandkids will, be individuals, and then that'll get destroyed, Lord willing, or not Lord willing, but it is what it is, protected. But anyways,
Yeah.
I feel that's a really good point, man.
Yeah.
You just blew my friggin' mind,
I got more books if you want to talk about them later.
dude.
He's got so many books.
I literally okay.
Why is
Neither
this
of
the
us-
first? Why is this the first time he's been on the show? Then, bro?
You ask
We've
him.
been doing this for 2 years. You're holding out on me now, bro?
I'll
For
save-
real?
I'll
It
save
wasn't
you
me.
the
Come on,
mystery.
man.
Don't look at me.
I'll save you the mystery. Most people ask me how many books do I read often. I try to read 2 books a week.
Okay.
That's how quickly I try to do it. If I have nothing to do,
All right, big
if I'm
timer.
off,
He doesn't
all
have
week-
kids.
I don't have kids. That's the thing. So I have free time for right now.
Listen,
and then that'll change
This
like one
is
day.
his time. This is his
Yeah.
time, man.
I'm trying.
I appreciate that, man.
Trying.
Listen, man, take your time, bro. How old are you?
I'm 31.
You got time, man.
I do.
You got time, man.
No, don't listen to him.
You got time, bro.
Well, not like 5 more years. I'm not gonna figure
Yeah.
that out.
I
sooner
mean,
or
listen,
later.
bro. It's all listen. What was it? The guys in the Bible were having kids like when they were 80 and stuff. You know what I mean?
I mean,
so
if you want to waste
Yeah, but they also had 200-year
But it
lifespans.
said, so we're like till 900. They live till 900 years old, and they're having kids at like 600 years old.
facts
Like,
and stats, bro. Facts and stats. Come
it's
on,
like
man.
solid numbers. It's just a number. Birth ain't nothing but a number.
Hey,
Right? Like-
another, we can always, it's all good, man. Still got it.
Gosh. That's hilarious.
Dude, TJ, I appreciate you for being on the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
You're the man, the myth, the legend.
Try.
Sorry I'm late, bro. I really appreciate you. Did you already plug the show? Did you plug everything, dude? Did you plug it
Oh,
already?
sorry. Whoa, you saw that.
Did you
I
plug it
froze. I would
already,
never
man?
leave him hanging.
Did I plug the show?
Did you plug the show already?
Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, but hey, make sure you continue to follow us everywhere on all of
No,
our
I
social
haven't
media
actually done any of
platforms.
that.
Make sure you do that on our Instagram, TikTok. We're all over TikTok, which is fun. I'm almost at 20,000 followers, man. It's really fun stuff. We gotta build you. Gonna build you up, man.
Coming up in the world.
It's all right. We're gonna get there.
I need to duet you or something like that.
Duet. You just gotta duet me more.
Yeah.
Just duet me.
Yeah.
We're gonna figure it out. But yeah, man, make sure you're following us. Thank you for all the patrons that sponsor us. We really appreciate that. Thank you for everybody that's watching on twitch.tv/plausible foolishness. That's twitch.tv/plausible foolishness. Did I say it? Twitch.tv/plausible foolishness. Gotcha. Thank you for the Deep State for watching. Romina, we appreciate it. Everybody that watches us all the time. Sorry I missed last week. I was that guy. Blame me later. It's all good. Thank you for TJ. Thank you for the Madman.
Thank you
Mad
for having
Scientist
me.
Matt. It was so much
Absolutely
fun.
appreciate
And
it. As always.
okay, Boomer. See you guys later.